If you're ready to explore the Hebrew roots of your Christian faith, then grab your Bible and let's get started. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome back to another Sabbath day and praise Yehovah. I am thankful for this day that He has made. I do know right now I am in the middle. In this area, I should say, in this local area, there is a storm that is brewing, and actual thunderstorm. So hang in with me if there's any issues that come along with power or anything like that. I will do my best to jump back on, even when the power is out. But we have things that I can use that is wireless. Hopefully that will work if there's any problems. But again, praise Jehovah for this day. I hope that you're really enjoying this week of Feast of Tabernacle. We're in the third day of this feast. I am looking forward to the 8th day teaching that we're going to have on the 26th at 11 o'clock a.m. So please do not forget to join me on that high Sabbath day. Just like the first day of the Feast Tabernacle was a high Sabbath, meaning that we treat it as a weekly Sabbath day. This is the same thing that we will be doing for the 8th day, which will occur on sunset on the 25th, but we will join together on the 26th at 11 o'clock a.m. So I'm hoping that you are ready, that you've already requested your day off, all those type of things. Now, I do want to say that I'm going to try to do better for the next biblical new year of preparing Jehovah's people for the feast. I feel like there's things that I could have done better. So I'm going to try to outline that, all those type of things, and make sure Jehovah people is ready to understand which days are the high Sabbath, what days you need to request off as soon as the new moon rises. I try to do really well with that, but I think I kind of slacked a little bit this year. So I have to wait for the next biblical new year for that, because the 8th day is actually the last annual feast that we read about in the book of Leviticus chapter 23 for Jehovah's calendar. The rest of the feasts are feasts that are came about through man after victory over war, like Hanukkah and Purim. All those are based off of victory of war. And you're welcome to honor those days. Just do not put those days above Jehovah's calendar. Just want to plug all that in this morning. But welcome to Reconcile the Kingdom, where we're working towards becoming a harmony of the whole word of truth. My name is Patrice Robinson, and I'm so thankful for have anyone that is available on today who's joining me this morning. And of course, I am thankful for those who will be joining me through the replay. I am very thankful. So I want to take the moment, as usual, thanking all returning subscribers and how you are supporting the ministry and how you share the link and how the ministry is growing slowly but growing. And we all have to do our part, including myself. So thank you for sharing the links, giving me a thumbs up, and making comments. I really appreciate you. And because that what we're trying to do is get out the biblical truth without the dogma and tradition of man, which man have put above Jehovah's word. So I want to welcome all new subscribers to the family. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Thank you for supporting the ministry. Thank you for allowing me to be before you. I greatly appreciate that. Just do the same things that we have spoken about for the returning subscribers. Give thumbs up, share the link, make comments, ask questions. And even if you don't agree, that's okay because we all not going to agree on everything, and that's fine. Just leave a respectful comment in the box. So do not be shy. Let me know what states, let me know what country that you're from. All visitors, I welcome you too. I'm hoping that you have taken the time out and took a look at the 5 foundational picks so you can understand what this ministry is about, because I don't want you just to hit the subscribe button because I said to. I want you to know what you're getting into and that you are ready, that you're ready to join this family that does not mind searching the scriptures, a family that does not mind challenging the religious system teachings that we have been under for hundreds of years, and that you are ready to dedicate yourself like we are as a student of the Bible, a lifetime student, because this study will go on throughout your lifetime, and that you're ready to explore the Hebrews of your Christian faith, because it started somewhere. We need to know where it started and how the denomination and non-denominational religious systems are where they are now, which is the number one reason why the book of Acts is an awesome study, because this is where you find all the foundation and where the turnaround had happened. It lays strictly the foundation. So thank you for joining us. And you can join this family by just hitting the subscribe button below. And don't forget the bell, because the bell lets you know when I'm live, any announcements or any updates that come from this ministry. And this is the number one reason why I try to put in, when it comes to the feast time, I put the request in for the live so that you will be alert that this is a feast day coming up and get prepared for that. And that's another reason why we have other ways that you can join in the ministry and support the ministry, is by joining Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Spotify, and YouTube, because Instagram is the main area where we talk about the feast and address some particular questions in Instagram. So, as a person who is coming in and you're new, do all the things we talked about: subscribe, comment, share the link, and thumbs up. But do the other things. Follow me on the other social medias. I forgot that I'm on TikTok and I need to get more TikTok videos up, but join me on TikTok. Now, we also have the Arcade Biblical Studio, the Essie Studio, where we have biblical workbooks. We have all of the New Testament workbooks and worksheets in case you just want a sheet or two and not the entire workbook, where you can make copies of the sheet, but you're probably missing some parts that's written in the workbook, because the workbook is designed for a particular reason. But all that's available to you in the Essence Studio. So is Scripture Wall Art. So you can take a look at all these things. We have ways to support the ministry. Even the Cash App is available for you to put in the love jar. So that is most definitely available for you. You can take a look at all of this in your own timing in the description box. It is there for you. Now, I want you to know at the end of this teaching, you have opportunity to ask questions. While I am live, not too many ministries allow that to happen, but I am making it available to you that you can ask questions about all the information that's presented to you today. That's including the overview that we're going to take a look at in the teaching for today. So share the link, tell your friends, your family, your loved ones that we're live. Make comments as you go through, and of course, it's all encouraged. Now, what you should have before you is a Bible. All the writing utensils that you need, a pen, a piece of paper, all that should be available for you. For those of you who purchased the Acts workbook, thank you. Or the Acts worksheet, thank you. So even if you don't have the workbook or the worksheet, have a piece of paper in front of you, because again, you're going to test what I share with you and make sure that it lines up with the whole word. That's the point of the ministry, which is different from many ministries. It is teaching the whole word, how you incorporate both the Tanakh, that's the Old Testament, and the Brit Hadashah, which is New Testament, together. Now, what we're going to do, we are going to begin with the overview for Acts chapter 11, which is what we covered last week. And Acts 11 was all about Peter's justification. He was justifying to the Jewish or Israelite believers why he went into a Gentile's home. So now we have Cornelius, is who he was testifying about, that this Gentile, this person who was a non-believer, became a believer of Yehovah, Yehovah, because possibly we had a theory. I had a theory, not we. I had a theory that he was possibly one of the Satarians that was present at Yeshua's death on the cross, which is why his household and his family and his friends became believers. So now we have this person in. So he began to tell them by length and in order that everything that occurred from Acts chapter 10 was a review in Acts chapter 11, because Peter was retelling the story. So we have Cornelius, which we found out in chapter 11, why the angel told Cornelius to send for Peter, so that Peter might speak the words to you and your household, how you might be saved. The angel is not supposed to be given the gospel. It is us that's spreading the gospel at this time. And there might be, I said might be, when you study Revelation, it's going to be a difference, because there's going to be an everlasting gospel that's going to go out by the angel. But this time, it is us. We're doing the work. He has died. The master had died for us so that we have the testimony, and we'll go out and take the gospel out. So at this time in Acts 11, all this good news of now that the Gentiles, the pagan people, the non-believers, all of them are starting to receive the word. The followers of the way went to Cyprus and Cyrene and began teaching the good news about the Messiah Yeshua to the Greeks at Antioch. They began to believe. Barnabas was sent off to Antioch by the congregation, by the assembly, to go set things in as a witness and set things straight to make sure everything is in order. So Barnabas realized, this is a lot of work. So he brought in Saul. So Barnabas and Saul taught a whole year to the new believers at Antioch. So I want this to meditate in your head for a moment. What do you think that Barnabas and Saul were teaching for a whole year at Antioch? They were not teaching the New Testament. The New Testament did not even exist. Remember, the gathering of the letters and the writings did not happen to over a century after Paul and Peter and all of them are gone. So they're teaching the Tanakh, the Old Testament. They're teaching the Old Testament to the new Antioch believers. So chapter 11 ended with Barnabas and Saul taking the contributions that's given to them and taking it to the brethren and sisters in Judea because there's a famine in the land at that time. Now, I have a huge question that I want to bring to your attention because this question is going to be answered not only today, but answered as we continue on in the book of Acts. How did the early Messianic believers balance maintaining Torah observance while embracing non-Jewish followers, non-believers, Gentiles of the Messiah? And what lesson can we draw about unity and diversity within the faith community? So that is a huge question that not only we answered today in our overview, but we'll continue to answer because some people get lost at this. So I do have my cross-reference, no word study, but I'm going to bring my application up. So the Messianic community, this is the followers of the way, the Nazarenes, the disciples, and all of that. Excuse me. Now it includes Jews, Israelites, proselytes, and Gentiles. This is all one Messianic community. Remember, the Messiah is coming for one bride. He's not coming for the Jews and then the Gentiles. He's coming from one. So the insight is that the Gentiles are officially recognized as part of the community. How did we get lost that this was split up? One set of rules for the Jews and one set of the rules for the Gentiles. As we see here in Acts 11, they still won. And it's developing here. So I'm going to leave my sheet up for a moment to give you opportunity to ask questions, make comments about anything that is before you. And hopefully I'll remember to bring my sheet down. Sometimes I do forget. We're going to jump right into Acts chapter 12. Now, about that time, Herod the king laid hands on some who belonged to the assembly to do them harm. I'm very careful with the word church, and we talked about why. And he had James, the brother of John, executed with the sword. When he saw that it pleased the Jews, more like the Jewish leaders, he proceeded to arrest Peter as well. Now, these were the days of unleavened bread. When he had arrested him, he put him in prison, turning him over to 4 squads of soldiers to guard him, intending only at the Passover to bring him before the people. So Peter was kept in prison, but prayer for him was being made to Elohim intensively by the assembly, by the congregation, by the ecclesia is praying for him intensely. Now, we do know at this point in this chapter, if this is during the feast time, that there are millions of people there because everyone goes up to Jerusalem around this time. So there's a lot of people. So he most definitely think it's wiser to wait till not everyone is there to be able to deal with Peter, Kepha. There's a lot in these first 5 verses. We have Herod, the king, who laid his hands, political hands, towards those of the congregation. This is a political party because we do know that Herod the king is not of Judea, so he's not supposed to be the king over Jehovah's people. He's an Idumean. He's from the bloodline of Esau. So we know all this is political. Remember, Yeshua warned the people, his followers, about the leaven of Herod. That is the teaching that comes from this political parties that we see. So this government wanted to do harm to the congregation that includes the Israelites and the Gentiles at this time. We do not know, well, maybe I should say this better. We should know that Herod the king is a title. It's just a title of the king of that time because the first Herod king that we read about is during Yeshua's birth, and we know that he died. So this is not the same Herod. This is not the same king. So again, if you go back to Matthew chapter 2, verse 19, this is after Yeshua. This is when Joseph and Mary left and went to Egypt, because this is what the verse says. After Herod died, an angel of Yehovah appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt. This is when he told him to bring the child back to the land. The child's life, for those who are trying to take the child's life, is now dead, which is Herod. So again, we know that Herod the king is a title and not the same people. We also reading in this passage about the first apostle, the first martyr, the first apostle, which is James. James, the son of Zebedee. You remember James and John, the ones who asked for the right and the left hand of Yeshua? And I remember Yeshua saying, can you drink the drink that I drink, the same cup? Can you do this? The brothers said they could. And Yeshua said, you will drink the cup that I drink. You will be baptized with the baptism that I undergo. And it did happen. James was the first one, the first apostle to drink. He was beheaded. And somehow this pleased the people. So how can the people be pleased that a person that's bringing good news, doing the good work of the kingdom, has been beheaded? And I'm not even going to say that it pleased the people, because it probably pleased the religious leader more than the people. Now, what we don't have written is much about James' ministry, but we know that he was apostle, so he was doing the same work. He was doing the healing and all those type of things. We know that was a part of the 12 apostles. But again, the people was pleased. The Jews were pleased that he was beheaded. The number one reason is because the apostles, the disciples, all the followers of the way was causing division. And they were causing division in a positive way. The apostles was bringing the same sword that Yeshua brought. This division between man-made tradition, which was oppressing the people of the land by the religious leader, this sword, this division from that tradition to the ways of the Father. And we know, of course, this was making people uncomfortable, because people are more comfortable with tradition of man. Human beings human beings are more comfortable, most human beings, not all human beings, some of us are learning to get control, but more comfortable at pleasing the flesh, because pleasing the flesh makes you feel good because you're giving in to the desires of the flesh. So people, human beings, have difficulty deciphering the difference between the traditions of man, because it's oppressing and they don't recognize it's oppressed. They just think they're obeying, to the freedom that the kingdom brings. This is why Yeshua said, come who are heavy laden, take up on my yoke and my burdens, because they're light. So the Torah, those instructions are lighter. What makes it heavy is when man began to add in their traditions. We just spoke about this in Exodus, that we were learning about adding and subtracting from Yehovah's word. And we again talked about this during the feast of the first day of Feast of Tabernacle. So because tradition works through the flesh, this makes people more comfortable to do things of the flesh. So now we have this assembly that experienced a great loss of the apostle James. Once the king realized this was pleasing the religious leader, because remember, the religious leader has power over the people. And if King Herod is pleasing the religious people will keep things under subject up in the land. He will gain more um, support. So Peter, it's time to go after Peter, because hey, we got the James. We most definitely gonna get Peter. Now we do know the writer kind of wrote. I don't even say this is the writer. I think this is a translation issue, because it says the time of the unleavened bread, and then speaks of holding Peter to Passover. But those of us who has foundation in the scriptures know that Passover comes before unleavened bread. Passover is the meal that occurs during the first day of unleavened bread. So this is why you have to understand the foundation of the scriptures, the whole word. So it seems that Herod's timing for Peter to be arrested is linked to the approach of the feast of Passover and unleavened bread. Since the festivals all include Passover, unleavened bread, and first fruit of the barley harvest. All this takes place in 1 week. So Herod is making a political decision to hold off dealing with Peter till all this is taken care of, because then you won't have millions of people in the land. Everyone will go back home. So during this time, Peter remains in prison while the assembly is intensively for him. Praying for him because James, they just lost James, which is a hard, difficult thing to deal with. We have an apostle that has died, has been murdered. This is a blow to the Messianic community. On that very night, verse 6, when Herod was about to bring him forward, about to bring Peter, Peter was sleeping between two soldiers, bound with two chains, and guards in front of the door were watching over the prison. And behold, an angel of Yehovah suddenly stood near Peter, and a light shone in the cell, and he struck Peter's side and woke him up, saying, "Get up quickly." And his chains fell off his hands. And the angel said to him, "Put on your belt and strap on your sandals." And he did so. And he said to him, wrap your cloak around you and follow me. And he went out and continued to follow. Yet he did not know that what was being done by the angel was real, but thought he was seeing a vision. I want to pause right here for a moment because we have the messenger of Yehovah, the angel doing work to set Peter free. The messengers are doing the work. So we have this thing going on, and it might be only in the United States, or it might be across other countries, about angels. We have people worshiping, we have people praying, we have people saying all these different things about angels that are not written in the Bible. We need to be cautious of the information that we're receiving. Information that's not in the Bible or not in where we can connect it in any writings in the Bible about these angels that people are worshiping, people are praying to, or people thinking that they're appropriating. All these things that are not written in the Bible. Um, I just want you guys to be cautious of that stuff. Verse 10. Now, when they had passed the first and second guard, they came to the iron gate that leads into the city, which opened for them by itself. They went out and went along one street, and immediately the angel departed from him. So we have the angel passing with Peter, the first and second guard, came to the gate that leads to the city, and which opened by itself because the angel was there. Used what he needed to make sure that Peter is set free. Went out, went along the street, and immediately the angel departed from him. So the angel was with Peter throughout this whole event. When Peter came to himself, he said, now I know for sure that Yehovah has sent forth this angel and rescued me from the hand of Herod and from all that the Jewish people were expecting. Again, Jewish leaders were expecting. I'm very careful with putting everyone in one category. And when he realized this, he went to the house of Mary, the mother of John, who was also called Mark, where many were gathered together and were praying. When he knocked on the door of the gate, a slave woman, a maid servant woman named Rhoda, came to answer. And when she recognized Peter's voice because of her joy, she did not open the gate, but ran in and announced Peter was standing in front of the gate. They said to her, you are out of your mind. But she kept insisting that it was so. They said it is his angel. What do they mean by it is his angel? But Peter continued knocking, and when they had opened the door, they saw him and were amazed, but monitored them that his hand to be silent. He's basically saying, shh, And he described to them how the master had led him out of the prison, and he said, report these things to James and the brothers. Then he left and went to another place. Now he's going somewhere else. You go ahead and go tell James and the other brothers, of the other apostles, what had happened, what is going on. So while Peter was in prison, again, the Messianic community, that whole assembly was consistently in prayer for him. In response to that prayer, an angel of Yehovah delivers Peter from prison. Echoing themes from the Hebrew scriptures, we recognize this is something that's not new. Delivering people from impossible situations, this echoes from the word that we know to be true. because we see this with Daniel in the lion's den. Daniel chapter 6. We read about this and the deliverance of Israel from Egypt, which is the book of Exodus that we're studying at this moment on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock p.m. So basically, in other words, this isn't anything new. This helps me to understand that Peter had continued work and assignments that he needed to do. It wasn't his time. Peter had to continue on. And what we know from history is that not even a king can stop what the king of the universe has in plan. Remember the Red Sea that was parted for Yehovah's people? The lion's mouth closed for Daniel, and now we have chains were loose, gates open for Peter. Now, what I do find amazing, what I do find interesting is that Peter was not sure whether he was having a vision or if this was something that was actually happening. But Peter was in so much obedience that he was acting out what was going on, not knowing what was actually happening. That is what I find very interesting. He remained even obedience, even if he thought that it was a dream. So Rhoda hears the knock at the door. She goes to the door and hears Peter's voice in surprise. She's so surprised that she didn't even think to open the door. Instead, she ran and told everybody that he's at the door. And everyone thought that she lost her mind. Instead of just going open the door to prove her point that he is at the door, it took them to finally say, "It's his angel." She, went amazingly decided to open the door and see that he's here. They were so amazing. They got so excited that Peter, told them, "Come on down, be quiet. Don't get too loud. I'm free." So while the assembly, the congregation had a intercession prayer to help Peter to get him out of this situation because we got a strong blow. We just lost James. But they didn't think that this intercession prayer was going to happen in this particular manner. This is why our eyes and our ears should be open, because our ways are not his ways. Our thoughts are not like his thoughts. Just imagine this. We're here on earth. In heaven and earth, that much space between us. His ways and his thoughts is that much space between us that we cannot comprehend, we cannot understand on the things that he thinks and the actions that he put in place. Based off our prayers, a lot of times we have no idea on how that is going to happen, how it's going to come about. And we ask the Father plenty of times. I'm one of those in prayer. Father, I know what you have showed me. How do I get from here to there? That's a daily prayer of mine because I've seen the direction that he's taking this ministry in. And I'm so amazed by it. But I'm asking, how do I get from here to there? So what I decided to do is stick with the word. Come to him as a child. Each and every day as a child, because I need his direction. I need his wisdom. I need his knowledge. I need his understanding. I need all 7 of the spirits of the Holy Spirit to work within me through the Holy Spirit so that I can stay on the journey and not lean on my own understanding, because that is how we get frustrated, because we're leaning on our own understanding. Verse 18. Now the day came, there was no small disturbance among the soldiers as to what could have become of Peter. Peter's gone. When Herod had searched for him and had not found him, he examined the guards in order that they be led away to execution. And then he went down from Judea to Caesarea and was spending time there. Now he's in Caesarea. Now he's very angry with the people of Tyre and Sidon. You know, this trade stuff that's going on that happened with Tyre and Sidon. You know, Tyre and Sidon, if you study about them, it's a lot of trade that happens in this area, rich people. And with one mind, they came to him, and having won over Bustus, the king's chamberlain, they were asking for peace because their country was supported with grain from the king's country. Grain, supplying the grain. On an appointed day, after putting on his royal apparel, Herod took his seat on rostrum and began to deliver the address to them. So again, this is not Herod the king from the short time birth. This is Herod the king. What is his name? Agrippa. That's who this is. This is the grandson of Herod, I believe, the one that had John's head cut off. So this is years later. So the people repeatedly cried out the voice of Elohim. No, let me change that. The people repeatedly cried out to Herod the king the voice of a God and not of a man. This is what they're saying to him. They're putting Herod as the voice of a God and not a man, making him a God. And immediately the angel of the Lord struck him because he did not give Elohim the glory, and he was eaten by worms and died. By the word of Elohim continued to grow and to be multiplied. And Barnabas and Saul returned when they had fulfilled the mission to Jerusalem, taking along with them John, who was also called Mark. So a little bit about John Mark. John Mark is Barnabas' nephew. I believe it's nephew. Could be cousin. They're related. And I will link the scripture. I need to find that scripture. I believe it's his nephew. So John Mark and Barnabas are related, and they took Barnabas and Saul to John Mark on the ministry road with them. Now, we do know there will be an issue later between Barnabas and Saul about John Mark. And when we get there, we'll talk about that. But John Mark and Barnabas are related. Herod, who exalted himself, accepted divine praise from the people. Now, again, Herod Agrippa is not of Judea. He is from the bloodline of Esau, Idumean. So he put himself, he was politically put in position over Yehovah's people. And then now he's putting himself as a God over Yehovah's people. So he's struck down. He's killed. He dies a humiliating death, showing that no man gets the glory of the Almighty. We see this with Pharaoh, and we've seen this with King Nebuchadnezzar. They can't put themselves, they try to put themselves above Elohim. He accepted this praise and struck down. Now, If you read Isaiah 42:8, Elohim says it's very good. It's written. We keep this in mind. He said, I am Yehovah, that is my name. I will not yield my glory to another or my praise to idols. You can't be over Jehovah's people and put yourself over Jehovah's people. You can't be over Jehovah's people and then put yourself over Yehovah. We have to have a standard of we are all equal because we are all the bride. So this teaches that no earthly ruler or authority can claim the glory that belongs to Elohim of Israel. You can't take Yeshua's glory. You can't take the Father's glory. What you're supposed to be is become one with the Messiah so that you become one with the Father. This is what the Messiah teaches you. Anytime you are anytime someone teaches you the word, and if you at least know the New Testament, and you should be able to connect to what Yeshua taught to what someone is saying to let you know they're off track. But unfortunately, some people don't even understand the New Testament writings about what the Messiah taught. And this is a horrible, horrible issue that's in the land. So I'm encouraging you, if you have not, please go through the teaching of what Yeshua taught that's on this channel. There's like 4 seasons, and we'll be working on season 5 here soon, once we're finished with Acts. Now, I'm going to give you the schedule. I am all done for today, but I want to give you the schedule for this week because this is another week that we will have 3 teachings. We will have a teaching on Tuesday night. We will be going over Exodus chapter 32. We will have a teaching on Thursday morning at 11 o'clock because it's the 8th day feast, which is a Sabbath day. Then we will join again on the Sabbath on the regular time at 10 o'clock for Acts chapter 13. So this is a busy time. This is busy time for the ministry, and this should be busy time for the people as far as honoring those days. I just have to get all the teachings together and present it to the people. Now, I don't see any questions. You have time to send questions. I want to be able to address your questions live, and I will address those in a replay. Send them. I will address those. So once again, I don't see any questions that I need to address. So before you leave out of here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to do your studies. I know this time I didn't put a recommendation of reading, but I need you to be grounded into the word of Yehovah. This is why I'm here. This is why Father called me. I am called to teach. May Yehovah bless you and keep you. May Yehovah shine his face on you and give you his favor. May Yehovah shine his face towards you and give you his peace. All in the mighty name of Yeshua. Thank you. I appreciate you. I will most definitely will be seeing you on Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m. May Yehovah bless you. Thank you.